and pulled apart. We got the angle finder on here. You guys, sorry about the light there. 27.90. Wow, this is really subbed from when I first set this up. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be pulling this spring plate off, and I'll be inserting this one here. And you can see how it's been notched. So that's going to allow us some more space right here. And the ones that were on here weren't in the best of shape anyways. Pretty, looks like corroded. These are nice, so it'll be an improvement. If you're gonna do your rear suspension on a swing axle car, you've got to take apart everything. Oh, there goes Patches, the supervisor. So you've got to remove your parking brake cable. It's a 13 millimeter on the back here. Got to, of course, take off your brake drum in order to disconnect the cable here. Got to take off all of the bolts that hold the axle to the spring plate. You've got to take your shock off. Now, one thing that's interesting, this car has gas shocks. Gas shocks, once you release them, if you buy these new, they come with a plastic band around them that holds them into a shorter position. Once you cut that band, this shock is going to increase in size because of the gas inside. You have to work quickly in order to get this on, to line up the holes. Otherwise, you're going to have a difficult time compressing this. Usually what I do is I keep a floor jack like this underneath, so I could limit where the shock moves and get it on. But like I said, you got to work quickly. You do have a few seconds before it fully expands, but you want to make sure that you know this in advance. Don't just clip these off before you're ready to put them on. Make sure that you have your shock in position, ready to go. And what I would do is I would bolt on one side first. Example like this, one side first, and then clip the band, and then get the bottom or the top, whichever one you're more comfortable with, lined up. If you're bolting the top on first, you can have your floor jack underneath the bottom ready to go, so that if you run out of time, the shock doesn't go too far and you can keep it right in position. But it can be very frustrating if you don't know that in advance. So just make sure, again, if you're doing gas shocks, pay attention. Save yourself some trouble. So I'm checking the angle finder on here. I need to get this car set up. We probably need to do about another inch on the back. So we'll see what happens. I've got to check my old numbers and see where I was at before, and then I've got to adjust accordingly. Now with this car, I had to adjust both the inside and the outside splines. So the outside splines, you're just pulling off this spring plate, and you can see the splines in here, and you're just moving it. In this case, I'm raising it, so I'm moving it down. Now you guys can see how far down this is. It is really far down, which makes it extremely difficult to raise this back up. There's a stop in here that needs to be over in order for you to put your cap on with your bushing. This car before, some issues I ran into. This tool right here is invaluable. You can buy these online. I think they're around $45 or so. There's no way I could have done the back end of this without this tool. And it's so much tension on here. I don't know if you guys can see the threads, but the threads are actually damaged from the amount of tension that's on here. Hoping this thing doesn't fail would not be good. Anyways, I had to get back to work here. I just wanted to give you guys a live update and tell you what's going on. Thank you for all who's joining. One other thing too, I noticed when I pulled the drum off, it looks like we had some wetness in here. May possibly be leaking from the axle seal. The axle boot up in there does appear to be leaking, so I'm probably gonna have to switch that out today as well while I'm under here. I've got this all cleaned off with a brake cleaner, and I'm gonna put everything back together and see if it's leaking. Don't know if I have a seal kit for this in my garage. If I do, I'll replace the seal. If not, I'll have to order one and do it at a later date. But I will tell you, speaking of tools, if you're working on a Beetle any type of air-cooled Volkswagen other than a bus, get yourself one of these torque multiplier tools. It is the best thing. Taking off flywheel nuts, it's an invaluable tool. It requires very little torque, as you can see here. 25 pounds torque, 30 pounds torque. So enough for your crank and for your drum, your axle nut. Probably the best investment I've ever made as far as the tool goes. To work, yeah, Todd. There is a lot of tension on those plates because this car has been raised in the back. So we're going to raise it even higher, which is why I've got these. So we've got a thing front end on this car. So the thing front end with the thing spindles. So the thing spindles are 3 inches higher than a Beetle. So I've got to get this car a little bit higher. The unfortunate thing is, being a swing axle, I'm never going to be able to get the back end super high because of the camber issue. So I just need to be a little bit more, because after I did this and did some serious off-roading, the rear end settled. So I've got to bring it up. But yeah, Todd, this thing is super tension. I don't know if when you tuned in, but this tool here is the only way I can do this. And if you look at the threads, you can see there's a lot of strain on this. Look at that. A lot of tension on it. I do also have a jack here to give me a little bit of an assistance. But I gotta get this back together. I may actually try to set this up on a tripod when I do the other side for just complete live video. But for now, I gotta try to work fast. I don't have a whole lot of time. But I just wanted to give you guys an update. It's a lot easier to do these live videos than it is to just record and post. So hopefully we'll get it done and we won't have any complications and we'll be good to go. I'm also thinking I may end up taking these gas shocks, taking them off and putting on some air shocks that I have, which were on this car originally when it was lowered. But we'll see. Anyways, you guys have a great day, and I'll be posting some more in a little bit.